all goods. Alright, so yun na nga. I hope that you get to see the screen of this Chem 1 that you have now, right? Kikita nyo ba?
Yes,
You're
sir.
seeing right now. Alright,
Sir.
so na-realize ko na yung chapter 12 pala ay mahaba. No. And just to give you heads up, sinabi ko last Monday na wag nyo nang answerin yung assignment 11. It's a naming of your amines, but will not be naming them anymore. Kasi para mag-skip tayo diretso doon sa 12, no, which only entails discussion or research, no, kailangan yung i-research because mas makarelate kayo doon in terms of your health. So without further much, let's get to know more about your amines and your transmitters. Just don't interchange this one with amides. Meron kasing amides din na instead of letter N, we have your D. Pero halos parehas lang, even the naming. The point is that if you have an idea of the first three organic compounds, your alkenes, alkanes, alkynes, and the rest of the principle will always be the same for the others. Alright, so let's proceed. So when you talk about your amines, no, this time, kung like sa alcohol, meron siyang yung OH na yon. For the rest, meron silang different distinctive functional group. For amines naman, meron siyang NH3. If you still remember in your high school, what does NH3 stand for? Ano tong pangalan ng NH3 na ito? What's the name of this chemical compound? NH3. Any idea? Oh, last discussion na natin. Mag-ingay na kayo.
Mag-ingay.
Ayun. So, ano to? What is this? What do you think is this? Ano sa tingin nyo itong kwan na ito? Hello, once again, good morning for those who just joined. So, my ask question would be, what do you think is the name of this NH3 in terms of the chemical name? So, if you're going to look at it, no, meron tayong nitrogen that is connected with 3 hydrogens. And what's the name of this one?
Ammonia, sir.
Alright, we call this one your ammonia. Ammonia yung NH3. So, pag may naka-branch out na NH3, it's ammonia. And when you talk about ammonia, it's only related to your amines. Amines, no? Though your amides have the NH3, pero meron siyang double band ng oxygen. So, we're not going to talk more about that one para it will not entail confusion. So, pag merong NH3, NH2, or NH dyan, it's actually amines, no? And we call this NH3 here, no, as your ammonia. Nakatry na ba kayo ng ammonia? Nakasinghot na ba kayo ng ammonia? Kasi meron tayong picture dito na sa gilid. Ammonia solution, 25%. Or, do you know the purpose of anong gamit ng ammonia?
Fertilizer.
Pwede, fertilizer? Yes, pwede because it contains nitrogen. No? So, kung pagkatapos mong nag-harvest at naubusan ng nitrogen content yung lupa, de gusto mong i-fertilize ulit yung lupa para bumalik yung nitrogen content, merong mga fertilizer na nagko-contain ng ammonia or simply your nitrogen. Ano pa? Saan gamit ito? Where have you heard yung gamit nito na nitrogen? Ano kaya? Nitrogen, ammonia. Anong gamit nito? Have you ever heard of people fainting? Ano yung fainting? Yung nahihimatay, nawawala ng malay? When people faint o nawawala ng malay, ang hinahanap usually sa emergency is the ammonia. Ang gagawin mo niyan, maglagay ka ng konting ammonia sa cotton, tapos ipaamoy mo or pasinghot mo doon sa nawala ng malay. And hoping na babalik yung malay niya kasi hindi maganda yung amoy ng ammonia. And it has an effect that it will at some point wake up the unconscious individual. So pag merong nawala ng malay, pasimutin niyo ng ammonia. Pag walang ammonia, the alternative would be you get the tender leaves of the bayabas and crush it and paamoy mo sa nawala ng malay yung amoy ng bayabas. That's how we learned that one from the medical field. Alright, so aside from it, no, ano pa ba mga example ng amine? Meron sabi dito sa last na bullet, trimethylamine. Nicotine. Alam niyo ba yung nicotine? Saan ba nakikita yung nicotine?
Cigarette.
Alright, cigarettes. And cocaine. Alam niyo ba yung cocaine?
I know.
Iba yung shabu. Iba yung shabu sa cocaine. Pero, they have almost the same effect, no? So, these are what you call your prohibited drugs, yung cocaine natin. So, Marami pa, hindi lang cocaine. Alright? But most of you are, will be law enforcers someday. So, let's talk more about a certain amine, no, na common sa atin dito. Alright? So, for your amines, the base unit of amines is actually the base unit of amino acid. When you talk about your amino acid, this is actually related to a certain biomolecule that we'll be talking on this chapter 12. And also for some few vitamins like your B1. Yung vitamin B nyo kasi marami yan. Kaya ang tawag natin sa vitamin B is B complex. Meron tayong vitamin B1, B2, B12. Yun. Other examples of your amines would be morphine. Alam niyo ba yung morphine? Have you ever heard of morphine?
No, sir.
No.
Yes, this is a common maririnig nyo to sa United States. They're actually open to this controlled drug na morphine at saka pethidine. Pero ang nangyayari kasi dito, this is a subject of abuse. Itong morphine at saka pethidine or your demerol. This is an amine. Alam niyo yung gamit nito? Do you have an idea anong gamit ng morphine?
No.
No? Alright. Your morphine is used for mga masasakit na pain. Like if you have a very strong headache, or if you are shot, no, na baril ka at masakit yung sugat mo, to relieve you right away, inject yourself with morphine. Painkiller ito. Painkiller ito. Pero ang painkiller na ito mabisa. Mabisa itong painkiller, kaya yung iba, some others are experiencing chronic pain. Yung for the rest of their lives, meron talaga yung pain na yan. And they are very dependent on morphine. Kaya pag walang morphine, para silang nababaliw, naa-addict na sila ng morphine. Kasi nga, hindi din nila ma-bear yung sakit. So, controlled ito, no? Controlled ito sa hospital, no? Binibigay lang ito at certain doses lang, kung talagang masikip lang. Pero, nagiging, subject of abuse itong amine na ito, which is morphine or pethidine, or the common name would be your demerol. Alright? So, we have your amines, no? Meron sila mga different structure, though we're not going to talk more about it because hindi naman natin in-name na yun. Though ituturo ko paano mag-name. So, my question would be, what amine is so popular, however is also prohibited at the same time? Do you have an idea? Oh, guess. You can guess. Guess. Amine siya na sikat siya pero pinagbabawal siya.
Drugs.
Anong drug? Hindi lahat ng drugs is prohibited eh. Meron tayong allowed na drugs, yung binibenta sa drugstore. Alright? Pero meron din tayong drugs na hindi allowed na ibenta sa drugstore. Nabibili mo lang siya, bibili lang hospital. At yung iba, talagang hindi pwedeng ibenta. So ito, hindi talaga to pwedeng ibenta kasi, yun na nga, no? Naaabuso. What do you think is this? Sikat?
Meron din, sir.
Ha? Ano? Yes. Can you please repeat that one? Hindi ko narinig.
Marijuana, sir, or sa bali?
Sa bali mati marijuana. Marijuana does not contain kondo, cannabis sativa, no? I'm expecting another answer. So try to find a certain prohibited one, pero sikat na sikat siya. So yes, marijuana is not the one that I'm looking. Alright, so may nagsabi shabu. Pero yes, tama yung answer na yun, shabu. Pero meron kayong idea kung ano ang pangalan ng shabu in a chemical term? Any idea? Anong pangalan ni shabu? Chemistry kasi tayo, kaya ipangalan natin sa chem. May idea kayo paano pangalan ng shabu in the its chemical name?
Search nyo na, wala po. Search nyo na.
Nya. It's an amine, no? Our lesson right now is an amine. And yes, that drug, shabu, is an amine.
Cocaine.
Iba din yung cocaine. Magkakaiba yung cocaine sa shabu. Though they have almost the same effect, pero mas ma-potent lang si shabu kaysa kay cocaine. Pero parehas sila halos ng effect. Yes?
Sir, cannabis?
Cannabis is your marijuana? No, it's not. Try again. Anong pangalan ng chemical name ng shabu? Ang shabu, hindi po natin nakukuha sa plants, Ay, yung marijuana, plant yun. Yung shabu, hindi natin nakukuha yan sa plant. Ginagawa yan sa laboratory.
Process.
Alam niyo yung Breaking Bad? Alam niyo yung movie ng Breaking Bad?
No, sir.
Sir, methamphetamine?
Alright.
Methamphetamine.
Alright. Yan. So, meron na. Nakuha niya na. Alright. Before going to the word, no, do you know the story of Breaking Bad? Yung series sa Netflix na Breaking Bad. He's actually a chemistry professor in a certain university. Konti yung sahod niya. Marunong siya ng chemicals at chemistry teacher siya. Gumawa siya ng shabu. Binibenta niya. Sa cartel niya pa binibenta. Ayun, yumaman. So, yun, no? Yes, the correct answer is a methamphetamine, no? Methamphetamine hydrochloride is actually the chemical name of your shabu. And you get to see that from the word itself, it contains the word amine. Methamphetamine. Amine. Methamphetamine. And that is how it is related right now, no? Its street name would be shabu. So, makita niyo, ganito yung itsura niya. Nakakita na ba kayo ng ganito? In the, wala sigurong aamin, ano? Pero nakakita na ako ng ganito in the real life. Kasi when I was in high school, merong isang tambay na bata pa ako, high school, may isang tambay na lumapit sa akin at sabi niya kung gusto ko daw bumili. Tapos meron siyang pinakitang sachet, tapos kala ko tawas. Tapos na-realize ko nung sabi ko hindi ba shabu yun? Sabi ko. Yung ganun. So, nakakita na ako ng ganito. So, yun, rampant dyan sa Mindanao dati sa amin na binibenta lang along the street. Yes, methamphetamine. Ang tawag natin dyan, methamphetamine hydrochloride or simply your crystal meth. Kaya nga crystal meth because of the chemical name methamphetamine. Nandito sa picture na makikita natin. And it's a certain type of amine. Alright? So, we have two types of your drugs, no? Some drugs, no, yung mga prohibited, yung mga pinagbabawal na gamot, meron tayong dalawa. Meron tayong mga stimulants, yung nagpapagising sa atin. Meron naman tayong mga drugs, pinagbabawal na drugs na nagpapadepress sa atin. Alright? So, saan si shabu? Stimulant, depressant?
Depress.
Nagpapadepress ba si shabu? Or nagpapastimulate? Ano sa tingin niyo?
Stimulate.
Kasi kailangan nyo malaman ito kasi magiging police kayo someday at alam nyo yung epekto ng drogang ito. Alright. For the last time, stimulant, depressant. Can I hear voices? Stimulant or depressant?
Stimulant, sir.
Alright.
Stimulant, sir.
Alright. So, the correct answer would be stimulant. No? Nagsistimulate ito. Kaya, actually, meron akong storya ng isang dormmate ko, college ako. No? Nung college ako, hindi ko alam na meron pala akong dormmate na tumitira ng bato. Kaya ayun. At na bigla lang ako kasi alam mo 3:00 ng madaling araw naglalaba siya, tirik ang matangay. Bukas na bukas yung mata. Yun pala, high ng shabu, kaya ayun. So, stimulant yun. So, nag-stimulate ka para kang hindi makatulog, lagi kang high, lagi kang active. Kaya usually sa mga kriminal, pag nasobraan sila ng shabu, they are very stimulated to the point that they become hyperactive, to the point that they become violent. Alright? Your marijuana is also, on the other hand, a depressant. Depressant si marijuana. Kung medyo ang dami mo nang iniisip na mga problema sa mundo, yung iba nagtitake ng marijuana para ma-relax. Para medyo ma-depress ka lang ng konti. Kasi pag dami ng tumatakbo sa isip mo, no, you need to at least relax your mind and depress your mind for a while. And yun, effect ng marijuana. Kaya yung iba, pag nahahay sa marijuana, nakakakita ng unicorn, rainbow, yung mga ganung mga bagay. So that's the differences between different drugs. So wag niyo sabihin na lahat ng drugs are stimulant and not all drugs are depressant. So there are some few, and as law enforcers in the future, you should know the differences of these different prohibited drugs. Alright, let's continue. So, paano ba ginagamit itong paano nagkaka-effect itong shabu sa body natin? We have what you call yung mga happy hormones natin, and meron tayong mga sad hormones sa atin. Minsan pag sad tayo, the happy hormones should kick in for us to be able to not be sad. Or if we are also very happy to the point that we are very hyperactive, we need also those sad hormones for us to at least kalma ka naman ng konti, wag masyadong very excited or very very hyperactive, ganon. But here, no, meron tayong very happy hormones or neurotransmitters na na-encounter sa ating body, which is what you call your dopamine. And this is being activated by your shabu. Pag nag-take ka ng shabu, itong dopamine natin nagkakaroon ng rush sa body mo, dumadami sila at yun na nangyayari. Very stimulated ka, very excited ka, very hyperactive ka. Kahit kulang ka ng tulog, yung mata mo tirik na parang nakabuka na parang tarsier. So ganun ang effect niya. Right? So let's just relate in naming. Hindi na ako masyadong mag-explain more with the naming, pero let's just relate it with the ones that we have before, like trying to know first what's the name of the longest chain and this one and this one. So meron tayong mga ganito, ang gagawin lang natin, lalagyan lang natin ng amine sa last. Amine, alright? So aapeliduhan mo lang ng amine, and we have here your NH2 or your ammonia. Pag merong ganito, alam natin na may amine dyan. So what's the name of the longest chain? Itong nandito, ito, ilang sides meron dito?
6.
6. So when you talk about 6 carbons, what's the name of a 6 carbon?
Hexane.
Hexane, tama, hexane. Pero since connected sila, ano pa ang pwede nating ilagay doon sa pangalan ng hexane para ipaalam natin na connected sila?
Cyclo.
Alright, so you have your cyclohexane. So meron tayong cyclohexane na nalaman na natin yung pangalan nito at i-connect lang natin ng amine. So anong pangalan nito ngayon?
Cyclohexylamine.
Cyclohexylamine.
Alright, very good. So simple ang tawag nito, cyclohexanamine. Alright, cyclohexanamine. Alright. We have here another one on the other side. Then again, we'll try to know the longest chain, and the longest chain is this parang piatos dito. So ilang sides ito meron? How many sides? 6 again, 6 again. So then again, parehas lang ng pangalan nito. This is cyclohexane, correct? Alright, cyclohexane.
Yes.
Tapos meron tayong isang part doon, isang corner doon sa 6 sides na yon na meron nakakonect na dalawang ito. So anong tawag natin sa isang ganito? What's the name of this one? Your CH3.
Methyl.
Methyl. Alright, since
Methyl.
dalawa yung methyl natin, anong tawag natin sa dalawang methyl?
Dimethyl.
Dimethyl. Tama.
Dimethyl.
Alright, so meron na yan, dimethyl na yan. Alright, so alam na natin cyclohexane, meron tayong dimethyl dito. So let's get to just number our carbons. So saan tayo magsisimula? Are we going to start on the N side or here on the branching of the methyl side? Saan tayo magsisimulang mag-number?
Taas.
Alright, sa taas tayo magsa-start. So alam natin 6 sides ito, kaya 6 carbons ang in-expect natin. So either way, if we go up or down, it doesn't matter. So ito yung carbon 1 natin, carbon 2, carbon 3, carbon 4, carbon 5, carbon 6, correct? So for us to specify well kung saan banda nakakonect si dalawang dimethyl na to, anong carbon number si dimethyl nakakonect?
4.
Alright, very good, 4. So nasa carbon number 4 ito, kaya combining all those knowledge that we have before, how do you name this one this time?
4-dimethyl.
4,4-dimethyl cyclohexanamine.
Alright, very good. Yun, so we have your 4,4-dimethyl cyclohexanamine. Very good. Kailangan mo duwagamin nga methyl. So syempre i-determine mo no anya nga carbon number naka-connect jay duwa. So iso nga maulit jay kwan, no? You have your 4,4-dimethyl cyclohexanamine, and this one is your cyclohexanamine. So ganun lang yung pag-name natin. Pero di bali wala ito sa activity nyo. Baka I may include lang only sa exam, pero yung easy ones lang. Ato, no? Madali lang, don't worry.
Sir naman.
Mabait ako sa scores nyo, to be honest. Mabait ako sa scores nyo. Medyo ano to? How do you name this one? So, first things first, let's get to know first how many carbons are there in the long chain. How many carbons do we have?
4, sir.
We have 4. So, how do we call this 4 carbons?
Sir. 4.
Butane.
Alright, so we call this one your butane. Alright, so you have your butane, and we have here isang ammonia group dito at isang ammonia group dito sa other side. So, we now have 4 carbons, and how do we number this one? Is it from the left to the right or right to the left? Alright, it doesn't matter, tama, conforme. So, it doesn't matter if we start on the right to the left or left to the right. So, we get to see that if we start from the left, We have carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Tapos we have here your ammonia group and your ammonia group here. So, at what carbon numbers are your two ammonia group connected?
1 and 4.
Alright, we have your
1 and 4.
Tama, we have your 1 and 4. And this ammonia group that we have here, we call this one your amines, no? Amines. Pero pag dalawa yung amines, ano yung pangalan natin sa dalawang amines?
Diamine.
We have your diamine. Tama, correct. Yun, diamine. So, this time, how do we name this one?
Butane diamine.
Butane.
1 for butane diamine.
Alright, very good. So, just specify the number. We have your 1,4 butane diamine. So, kasi dalawa yung amine group natin. So, diamine. So, butane diamine. 1,4. Very good. Ito, pinangalan ko na. Meron ng pangalan. Alright. This one, no? We have here an example, pero napangalan ko na pala. Ang nangyari dito, hindi na ang CH yung naging longest chain. Ang nangyari, napagitna siya ni nitrogen. At si nitrogen ngayon yung parang nagpapagitna, kaya hindi mo na malalaman kung ano yung longest chain. Ang nangyari, yung mga carbons natin, naging branched na sila. So, we have one branch here, we have one branch here, and one branch here. So,
Ibutriethyl yun?
alright, so we have now here, your CH3, CH2. Anong pangalan nito?
Ethyl.
Ethyl. Then we have how many ethyl groups?
3.
3. So if you're going to connect your
3.
3.
Triethylamine.
Alright, so we have your triethylamine. Alright? So what's wrong with the name?
Methyl.
Alright, nagkamali ito, no? Kamali ito. Dapat ito ethyl, hindi methyl. Kasi CH3, CH2 ito, no? Let's say for example, on the left side, you have a methyl. On the bottom side, you have your ethyl. On the right side, you have your propyl. How do you name that one? Paano pa pangalanin yan? Meron tayong methyl sa left, ethyl sa bottom, and propyl sa right.
Saan?
Hindi, example lang, hindi ko nasulat. Just imagine.
Pala ko.
Just imagine, hindi ko nasulat ito. Pero imagine this is a methyl group, this is an ethyl group, and this is a propyl group. How do we name that one?
Ethyl at saka propyl?
We have your methyl here. CH3 dito. CH3 dito. Sa baba, CH2, CH3 dito sa baba. Tapos dito sa right side, CH2, CH2, CH3, which is your propyl. How do we name that one?
Okay.
Ethyl methyl propylamine.
Alright, very good. Ethyl, methyl, propylamine. Ano yung basihan mo? What was your basis?
Okay, sir,
Sa
the
arrangement.
answer mismo, J1.
Right.
Alphabet.
Alphabetical, alright? Alphabetical. Surutan tayo lahat tayo alphabetical. Nga adati ethyl, mauna ni ethyl, ta letter E. Tapos, next cut ni methyl, letter M. Tapos, ni propyl, ejay last. Tapos, kabilang tayo ti amine. So, tinangyari ejay, ethyl, methyl, propylamine. Alright, something like that. So, ganun. Ito. What do you think is the name of this one? We have here two groups here. One group here. Anong pangalan nito?
Methyl.
Ethyl. Methyl. Ito sa baba.
Methyl.
Ito sa baba. Anong pangalan nito? Methyl. And dito sa right, anong pangalan?
Methyl.
The right, anong pangalan sa right?
Ethyl.
Hindi to ethyl.
Right, ano?
Tatlong carbon
Propyl.
to
Ay, propyl, sir.
Alright, propyl ito. So, we have now 2 methyl and 1 propyl. So, anong pangalan nito?
Dimethyl propylamine.
Alright, very good. Yun lang. Dimethyl propylamine. Simple lang. Ay, sorry. Meron pa pala akong ituturong bago sa inyo. Whenever N is on the middle, N siya na yung parang nagko-compose ng long chain natin, at saka yung iba nagiging branch na lang. Dito si methyl branch na lang, si isang methyl branch na lang, si propyl dito branch na lang din. So hindi natin malalaman kung ano yung number nila. Siyempre hindi mo masabihin na ito yung carbon number 1, ito si number 2, ito si number 3. So ang gagawin natin dyan, instead of writing the number, kasi we cannot specify the number, we write letter N. Dito, kita nyo yung N sa gitna. Alright? Nakita niyo yung N
Sir.
sa gitna? Isusulat niyo yan dyan sa first, in place of the number. And since we know that, no, your methyl is connected to that N, and they are connected twice, correct? No? Dalawa silang nag-branch out, meaning you're going to write the N twice. NN ano to? Ano pangalan nito? Dimethyl
Methyl.
propylamine. So ganun, no? Pag si N ang nagpagitna, no, kailangan mong isulat 'yan. Actually, ano pagsulat nito? In this case, we can actually say that this is wala palang kaparehas. So sa kaparehas lang. Pag may kaparehas lang, just like here, you have your 2-methyl, kailangan mong isulat yung N twice. Alright? Something like that. So, meron tayong mga ganito. So, paano natin pangalanan to?
Ethyl at saka si methyl.
Ethyl at methyl. At saka ito, anong pangalan nitong big chain dito? Cyclo what?
Same.
Cyclohexane. So, paano natin pangalan to? Between ethyl and methyl, sinong unang mapapangalan? Ethyl, tapos next si ethyl, methyl, tapos anong pangalan nito? Hexanamine. So, yan. Bakit kayo naging ganun? Right, just the same with the one that we had here, no? Kasi dito, dalawa si methyl. So, ipangalan mo lang, separator is a letter N. But in this case, no, since hindi sila magkaparehas, ang ginawa dito, your ethyl is actually connected to the N. So, N-ethyl. Tapos, again, si methyl naman is connected to your letter N. So, gagawin mo na naman dyan, N-methyl. Tapos, since this one is the longest chain in the connection which has 6 carbons, siya na yung magiging apelyido mo at saka lagyan mo na lang ng amine. So, N-ethyl, N-methyl, cyclohexanamine. Alright. Don't worry. Hindi ko naman papagawa to sa inyo at saka hindi ko to i-conclude sa mga exam. Mahirap to eh. Alright? Questions for your methyl. Methyl. Bakit na may ethyl? Questions for your amines.
None, sir.
Right, let's continue na lang para get to progress more and later on just bulto lang natin yung questions. Alright, in your chapter 12 we have your biomolecules, and this is really very important for me to discuss to you is because this is something that we get to relate. Though this is not much connected to your profession being as a law enforcer someday, but this is more on related to your health, no? So sa medical field ito, pero this is still important for you to know on, especially kasi in your case, no, in your profession, it demands physically, no? It's a physically demanding work, no? Being fit, being healthy in your profession. So, when you talk about your biomolecules, these are actually biomolecules that are created inside your body. Meron sila nito sa body natin. And do you have any idea of what are the different four biomolecules that we have in our body? Meron tayong 4.
Fats.
Alright, we have fats. Yes, tama, fats.
Protein,
Yes.
carbohydrates.
Carbohydrates. And what's the last one?
Di ko lang yung isa.
Alright. Kasi yan lang yung kinakain natin eh. Kasi yung isa hindi natin nakakain. Alright, tama yun. We have fats because we're eating fats. We're eating oil. We're taking oil. We have your carbohydrates because we eat sugar. We eat sweets. We eat fruits that contain sugar. We have protein because we eat meat. No, we have meat coming from the fish, chicken, pork, whatever. So, yun. So, ano yung pinaka-last na hindi common na kinakain natin kasi hindi natin ito nai-intake? We have your fats, your proteins, and your carbohydrates. What's the last one?
Acids.
Acid. What specific acid? Kasi baka sabihin nyo, ay, acid si Sukakot. Yan yung tinitake namin.
Nucleic acid.
Alright, we have your nucleic acid. Tama yan, nucleic acid. So, nucleic acid is something that may be foreign to you, but for the rest of the 3 other biomolecules, it's common to you because you're taking them in. Alright, let's get to talk more about your biomolecules. Your molecule that is produced by a living organism. So, if you're looking at it, no, sa biochemistry side, we have your carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and your nucleic acid. So, saan dito si fats? Saan dito si fats? With these four first greens here. Carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, acids. Saan dito si, or at nucleic acid, saan dito si fats?
Lipid.
You have your
Lipids,
lipids, no?
Lipid.
Alright, so when you talk about your fats, the building block of your fats are what you call your lipids. So you may not hear me most of the time speaking about fats, but I will mention most of the time lipids. And when you talk about lipids, it's your fats or your oils, right? So sa mga matatamis, si carb, sa mga matataba, lipids, si protein, muscles, ito, at saka si nucleic acid, you have your DNA and the rest of the other ones. Alright, let's continue. So ito yung mga categories na food na tinitik natin. And these are actually your biomolecules that are created inside a living organism. Not only humans, animals, plants, even. Alright? So, let's talk more about your carbohydrates. When you talk about your carbohydrates, no? Carbohydrates has a chemical combination of what you call your CHO, CHO. No? It has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. CHO. No? Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And sila yung pinaka-abundant. And this is coming mostly from the plants. No, we get our sugars from the plants is because during the time when they're doing photosynthesis, no, alam natin na yung plants natin nagta-take in ng carbon dioxide and at the same time they are drinking H2O or your water. Now, combine them together, we get to see that no, sa water merong hydrogen. Sa CO2 merong carbon and both of the water and your CO2 has oxygen. Kaya na-form yung CHO or your carbohydrates. And commonly, you will encounter your C6H12O6. Anong pangalan nitong C6H12O6 if you still remember? Anong pangalan nitong ng C6H12O6? Common ito eh. This is a common kan. Anybody?
Glucose, sir.
Yes, this is glucose. Tama. Right? Glucose ito. Right. So, we'll talk more about glucose later on. Wait lang. May nag-PM sa PM. Alright. Glucose. So, yun. Meron pang nag-join. Anyway, yun. So, meron yun, no? You have your glucose. So, when you talk about your carbohydrates, we have the three types of your carbohydrates. Meron tayo four. We have your monosaccharides, you have your disaccharide, oligosaccharide, and your polysaccharide. So, it depends on how simple they are, no? Your mono, pag mono, ano meaning nito? Ilan pag mono?
1.
1. Pag di?
2.
2. Pag oligo? Oh.
3.
Pag oligo, ilan na?
3 to 6.
3 to 6, tama yon. And poly, ilan na yung poly?
Una, magic diyan, ayud.
Dali na. Yeah, so you have your ano, you have your poly, meaning pag poly na yan, more than kuno siya. More than 6, pero actually yung oligo mo considered poly na yun siya. All right? So you have that there. So yun. Then let's continue, no? Talk about your monosaccharides. These are what you call your mga simple sugar, no? Simple sugar, and normally you have your simple sugar, you have your fructose, glucose, and your galactose. Alright, so you have there your monosaccharides or your simple sugars, and usually we get that one from your honey and your fruits. No, you have your fructose, your glucose, and your galactose. Meron na bang nakatry ng fructose? Naka-taste na ba kayo ng fructose? Anybody? O naka-taste na ba kayo ng fructose? Fructose, my dear students. Have you tasted fructose already? Hello, anybody there?
No, sir.
Di pa kayo nakatry? Fructose are actually the ones that you get from the fruits, no? Okay. When you get from the fruits, kung matamis na mangga, and you can taste the tamis ng mangga, it's because there's fructose there. Pag kumain ka ng rambutan at matamis yung rambutan because it has fructose there, the fruit sugar. If you get to taste strawberry that is sweet, it's because it has fructose there, another fruit sugar. Glucose, alam niyo tong molasses? Naka-taste na ba kayo ng molasses? This is something that is sweet that is added sa mga sa mga baking. Pagbe-bake ka ng mga cake, no, nilaglalagay sila ng molasses. Right? And we have your galactose. Ang galactose naman, ito yung sinasabi nilang mga sugar sa milk. Di ba matamis ang milk? Yes or no? Hala,
Yes.
Bakit? Di ba matamis ang milk?
Yes.
Yan.
Beer brand.
Depends sir.
Depends.
Natamnay mo tila duma.
Natamlay jay ko, ano? Pero, have you ever witnessed, alam niyo yung bottle feed? Yung pinapadede sa baby. 'Di ba?
Sando.
Pag breast milk yung ginamit doon, have you ever seen a breast milk na nilalanggam? Ay, baka hindi pa kayo nakita. Pero usually ang breast milk nilalanggam yan kasi may sugar siya. May sugar siya. Alright? So baka hindi pa tayo makarelate din. Alright? Hindi pa tayo makarelate din. But they say sa coming from my friends at yung mga may asawa na matamis daw yung
May asawa na.
matamis daw yung milk. Kaya nilalanggam siya and because it has what you call your milk sugar or your galactose. Alright? So, wag magtaka pag nilalanggam yung milk. No, it has sugar. Right? So, sabi ko nga, nandyan ang galing. So, we have your monosaccharide, your glucose, your fructose, and your galactose. So, yun. Yung glucose natin nakukuha during the photosynthesis. When plants create their own food, they create glucose. Yan yung food nila because plants can feed themselves. Hindi tayo parehas ng plant na pwede tayong gumawa ng own pagkain natin at kainin ng cell natin. Tayo, kumukuha tayo ng other sources of food. Pero si plants, kaya nilang gumawa ng own food nila. And what they do is they make glucose. Diyan lang, mauma dati glucose for the rest of their lives. Right. So, yun yung mga monosaccharide. When you talk about your disaccharide, these are the combinations of your monosaccharide before. Right? So, example would be your sucrose. Tapos, meron tayong lactose at meron tayong maltose. Si sucrose, this is what you get from your table sugar, yung white at saka yung brown. And that is what you call your table sugar or your sucrose. So ano ba yung sucrose? It's a combination of your glucose and your fructose. Kaya nga from two monosaccharides, they become na what you call your disaccharides. You have your lactose or your milk sugar. No? So it's a combination of your galactose and your glucose. And maltose, this is your glucose in your glucose. This is actually malt sugar or the one that you get from beer. Beer has actually a sweet taste, no, na hindi lang natin masyadong na-appreciate. It's because it has what you call your maltose or your beer sugar or your malt sugar. Alright? Have you ever heard of the word lactose? Narinig niyo ba itong term na disaccharide na lactose? Anybody?
Yes.
Narinig nyo ba yung taong, I'm lactose intolerant? Ano meaning ng tao pag sinabi niya, ay, lactose intolerant ako. Hindi ako pwede ng milk. Meron kasi mga tao na lactose...
Sa milk.
Hindi sila pwede sa milk. No, meron tayong mga tao na hindi sila pwede sa milk because they are lactose intolerant because they do not have the enzyme that will break down your lactose. Ang nangyayari dyan, pag uminom sila ng milk, sumusuka sila. Or hindi na pa-process ng body nila para i-digest yung milk. Kaya nagkakaloko-loko yung tiyan nila.
LBM.
So, there are people who are lactose intolerant and please do not offer them milk tea. Mamaya, mapurnada yung lakad nyo kasi napunta na ng CR yung kasama nyo. Alright? Because some people are lactose intolerant. Alright?
I-invite ko pa ako ma.
Alright, let's continue. You have your disaccharides. You have your oligosaccharides. Example with your raffinose, 3 to 6 monosaccharide units. Let's not talk more about it. So, we have your polysaccharide. Ito na yung mga many sugars, no? Marami. And the pinaka-best example of your polysaccharide is your starch. Nakarinig na ba kayo ng starch?
Yes, sir.
O, anong example natin ng mga starch natin? O, give me example of a starch. That is common in our everyday lives. We use this one for baking. No. Oh, anybody? Girls, you should know this one, especially if you're into baking or pastries.
Cornstarch, sir.
Yeah, one, cornstarch, yes. Ano pa? Yeah, tama yun, starch. Cornstarch. Ano pa? Where can we get starch?
Rice.
Rice, starch, no? Alam niyo yung pag naghugas kayo ng rice and the first strain that you have, maputi masyado yung tubig. Tapos tinatapon natin yun. It contains starch. Those white ones are the starch. Ano pa? Kasi from the rice starch. Cornstarch, rice starch. Meron din tayong tinatawag na potato starch, no? Yung potato. Kaya hindi nagiging crispy yung potato nyo. Ano yung, alam niyo yung technique para maging crispy yung kwan? Yung french
Crispy
fries
fry.
nyo? Paano yung technique para maging kwan yung ibigay ko. Segue tayo ng konti. Ano yung technique para maging crispy yung french fries?
Asin.
Crispy fry.
Alright. Alam nyo ba ng effect ng cornstarch? Have you tried placing cornstarch in water? What happens to that one? Ano yung feeling nung cornstarch in water? Di ba lumapot? Di ba lumaplapot suna?
Yung ganito kalapot.
Oh, yun. Lumalapot kasi yung water pag nilalagyan mo ng cornstarch. Kaya usually in the food, if you're trying to make sauce, we add cornstarch for it to make malapot. But then again, hindi natin kailangan yung lapot para gumawa ng isang something na crispy. In this case, your french fries. So what's the technique for you to be able to make the french fries crispy? You need to take out the starch. Kasi si starch nga nagpapalapot nun. And ayaw mo ng malapot na french fries. So what you're going to do, as soon as you get to peel your french fries and you make it into sticks, no? Wash it many times and many times and many times hanggang mag-clear yung water until the starch content will be lessened. So kung lesser na yung starch content niya, meaning hindi na siya ganun kamalapot, and you dry them very well, i-dry mo sila because ang kalaban ng crispiness is moisture. So if you dry them well and fry them in a deep fry, yan, expected yan, crispy yung french fries nyo. Ganun yung technique niya.
Ganun pala.
Alright, ganun
Mayatan,
siya.
negosyo.
Ang madali nyo yung negosyo data. Abako nyo pa ni McDo. Alright? We have also cellulose, no? This is one thing that is distinctive with us humans and plants. Kasi si plant lang ang merong cellulose, tayo wala. And because of this cellulose, ito yung nagpapatigas ng plant wall ng plant cell. Kaya hindi basta-bastang nasisira yung mga leaves ng plants. It's because they have a very sturdy wall. To the point that they have a very sturdy wall na hindi tayo nakaka-digest ng mga plants. Tama? Do we eat grass? Can we eat grass?
Some grasses.
Some grasses, pero meron yung mga edible grasses. Pero ganito, alright. To ask you, no? Sometimes when we eat leafy vegetables, do we really digest them? Yes or no?
No.
Alright. Sinabi mo no, pero ano yung ebidensya mong nasabi mo na hindi natin nadadigest yung plants natin? To be honest, humans cannot digest cellulose or humans cannot digest most of the plants. Because we lack the enzymes for us to digest it. Pero what would be the best evidence that truly we humans cannot digest plants? Ano? Ano yung napapansin nyo? Oh, experience.
Grade pa lang po.
yan yung ebidensya. That's actually the answer that I'm asking, 'di ba? Maminsan nung mangantay ti adu-adu nga green leafy vegetables, bakit pag nag-CR ka, nakita mo ulit siya? Yun yung isang ebidensya na tayong human, hindi tayo parehas ng mga baka at saka mga karabaw na kaya nilang mag-digest ng leaves, pero tayong human wala tayong enzyme na nakaka-digest ng leaves. Kaya pag nasobrahan kang kumain ng maraming green leafy vegetables, you will see them once again in the CR.
Welcome back.
Alright, so yun, no? Have your starch, we have your glycogen, and when you talk about your glycogen, this is already a complex sugar. Our bodies need only the glucose. each part of our cell needs glucose. But then, no, that glucose, if it's not being used, meaning pag kumakain ka ng marami at maraming sugar, pero hindi mo siya na-consume kasi hindi ka nga nag-exercise o hindi ka gumagalaw, yung glucose natin, kino-convert ng glycogen. Tapos, kung kailanganin na ng body natin yung glucose, itong glycogen, mabe-breakdown ulit siya ng glucose. Pero my question would be, sabi natin dito, no? What happens when people takes lots of sugar but do not exercise? Ito, makaka-relate kayo dito.
Tataba, sir.
Alright, tama, tataba. Alright, paano nangyari yun, no? Again, no? As I've mentioned, our cells only need the glucose. Hindi niya kayang mag-digest ng glycogen. But then again, pag hindi pa nagamit si glucose, temporarily si glucose maging glycogen para pwede siyang ma-store. Pagkakailanganin na natin yung glucose, yung glycogen storage natin, iba-breakdown yun ng glucose ulit para magamit. Pero then again, pag yung glycogen mo, hindi siya nagamit, yung glycogen na yun, mako-convert into fats. And that's the reason why when some people or most people are trying to just eat and eat and eat sweet foods, and they do not exercise, they become fat. And that is the next type of your biomolecules that we're going to talk about, which is your lipids. Lipids are actually your fats. We have your two types of your lipids. We have your triglycerides and your steroids. So where do we get your lipids? Fats, oil, waxes, soap, hormones. No, they are fats, or they are lipids. Let's talk more about your triglycerides. If you get to see, kaya tinawag na tri ito dito because it has 3 branches. You have 3 carbons, 1, 2, 3, and kaya nga tinawag na triglyceride. Alright? Ang nangyayari dito, they are actually segmented, no, in 3 different parts. And yun na nga, have you ever heard of like your mother and your father, or paggaling sila sa hospital and nagpa-lab test sila, tapos sabi na, ala, ang taas ng triglycerides ko. Narinig mo yun? Narinig nyo na yun? Or hindi pa? Hindi pa. So, triglycerides, yun lang, takot sila sa hospital. Triglycerides are actually pwedeng maging positive or negative. Pero then again, ito taba ito. Fats pa rin ito. Ano? So, it says here, serves as an energy storage depot for organisms and also provide thermal insulation. Kaya usually, no, pag sa malamig na panahon, tayong mga payat, gininaw na tayo, yung mga kasama nating medyo may fats, sila yung maiinit. No? Kaya masarap ngayon na i-hug yung mga medyo matataba. And usually, ang commonly kasi, no, yung mga matataba or mas malaki yung fat content nila yung mga babae. Diba? It's true. Adipose tissues are actually more common to women than in men. Right. So, aside from your triglyceride, no, tanong ko, sa lipids, narinig nyo ba yung saturated versus unsaturated fat?
Yes.
Narinig nyo na yun? So, saan mas healthy dyan? Saturated or unsaturated? Saan mas healthy dyan?
Saturated.
Alright, so let's try to see more, no, kung ano yung mga saturated and unsaturated. Pero sabi dito, mas maganda yung mga choose more unsaturated fat than saturated fat. Yung mga saturated fat kasi natin, nanggagaling ngay sila sa mga animal fats. Except lang for like animal fats at saka sa coconut, no? They are what you call mga bad fats. Pero pag yung mga fat mo nanggaling sa mga plant-based sila, they are na unsaturated fat and they are more healthy. Pero then again, just think of it that they are still fat, no? Dapat moderation pa rin. Alright. Narinig niyo na steroids. Ang steroid pala, fats. Alam niyo yung gamit, boys, for the steroids? Anong gamit itong steroids?
Pang-padakol muscle.
Alright, ito yung mga ginagamit. Ito yung mga ginagamit ng mga nagji-gym. Right? Tapos yung mga gustong lumaki at maging batak na bato-bato yung muscle nila, some others are injecting themselves with steroids. But to be honest with you, we already have steroids in our body. And it came from the adrenal glands. Now, we have what you call your adrenocortical hormones or your ACH. Yung steroids kasi natin dalawa. no? There are two types of hormones, and one is your sex hormones. And the other would be your ACH or your adrenocortical hormones. So, sa sex hormones, it controls your maturation, tissue growth, and reproduction. Sa adrenocortical hormones naman, this is actually for your metabolic processes. So, just imagine that we have your two types of your fats, and those are steroids and your triglycerides. And in your steroids, you have your sex hormones and your ACH for that one that affects actually our body. So, yun. I think last na ito. I have your, may protein pa tayo. So, paspasin ko lang na konti kasi we have your 10 minutes. When you talk about your nucleic acid this time, ito yung hindi kayo familiar. We have your two types of your nucleic acid. We have your RNA in your DNA. Pero narinig nyo na yung DNA. Still remember what's the name of your DNA? Ano meaning ng D, ng N, at saka ng A? Anybody? Para hindi tayo magsayang na oras. Right, you have your DNA, you have your deoxyribonucleic acid, no? D stands for your deoxyribo. Tapos your N and your A will stand for your nucleic acid, deoxyribonucleic acid. And we have also your ribonucleic acid, your RNA. The difference between the two is that this is a two helix, dalawang helix ito or dalawang nagsiswirl na bands. For your DNA and for your RNA, single band lang siya. Alright? Pero, both actually contain information carrying a molecule in our body. Our DNA is the blueprint of our body. If you're going to mess up your DNA, meaning it will also affect on how you look, how you grow, how you mature, how you think even for your DNA. So, importante talaga yung nucleic acid. Kaya hindi kayo familiar with this biomolecule is because we don't take in with this one. Hindi tayo nagte-take in ng ganito. Alright? So, you have your DNA blueprint. You have your RNA. This is actually a certain genetic material of some viruses. Still remember your activity? Still remember your activity about COVID-19? Hello? Narinig niyo ba yung COVID-19 activity
Yung
niyo?
vaccine?
Alright?
Yes, sir.
Talk about your vaccine. Anong klaseng vaccine? Sa vaccine, anong
Anong
klaseng
klaseng
nucleic
acid?
acid doon? Is it
Nucleic acid yung
DNA? Is it
ginagamit.
RNA? Yun yung question ko doon. So, ano kayang answer doon? See, COVID-19, especially for some few vaccines like your AstraZeneca, you have your Johnson & Johnson, Janssen, anong klaseng nucleic acid ang nagamit doon? Is it your DNA or your RNA?
DNA.
RNA, sir.
Alright, it's RNA. Tama yun, RNA. Right? Tama, RNA. Kasi sabi ko, for viruses, because they are a simple organism and they are smaller than bacteria, hindi nila kailangan ng complicated na DNA doon. RNA yung gamit nila for them to be able to code their bodies on how to live, no, what their blueprint in their bodies. But, no, if you're going to look at it here, no, ito na yung tinatawag nating, coronavirus, the 3D version of your coronavirus. And inside that coronavirus is actually an RNA that codes themselves out. And the coding, no, this is how they live. Alright? But, no, looking at it, no, hindi ko pala nalagay. We have your three types of your RNA. Meron ba dito? We have your three types of your RNA. We have your you have your transport RNA, we have your messenger RNA, and we have your ribosomal RNA. Anong klaseng RNA yung ginagamit sa tawag nito? Sa vaccine? Is it mRNA? Is it tRNA? Or is it rRNA? Sa research nyo. For example, for AstraZeneca and Janssen, anong klaseng RNA yung ginamit na?
Nilagay ko.
Nyata. Rumor dito yung exam.
rRNA.
No, it's not rRNA.
M.
Alright, so we have your mRNA. No,
M
it's mRNA. It's your messenger RNA.
Yes.
Alright,
M nilagay ko sa spot ko.
that is used for the vaccine is because anong ginagawa doon? Kumukuha sila ng sample ng RNA ng coronavirus and they're trying to insert that one in our body. Oh, bakit pinapasok yung virus sa body natin? Especially kung bakunado ka na. It's because, no, it's a weakened virus. Weak siya na virus na pinasok doon sa body natin. And for us to be able to kill virus, there's no antiviral drug that will kill the virus right away. In our body, it's our immune system that will kill viruses. However, your immune system is not readily available in terms of fighting all viruses kasi hindi niya kilala lahat ng viruses. Right? Hindi niya kilala lahat ng viruses. Kaya kailangang magpabakuna. Ano ba ginagawa ng bakuna? Pag binakuna ka, inintrodusan ka ng mahinang version nung RNA ng virus na yun. As soon as your body will encounter this foreign body na hindi kilalang virus, no? Your body will try to identify this one. Who is this virus that just came inside our body? Ay, okay, it looks like coronavirus, sabi ng body natin. And with that one, sabi nila, oy, coronavirus should not be living inside our body. We need to find a defense for us to be able to fight this coronavirus. And once the body will get to identify, this weak virus here is a coronavirus, let's make antibodies. And when those antibodies are created by your body, the next time na pag natamaan ka ng coronavirus na hindi na siya weak virus, yung talagang virus na talaga ng corona, your body is already ready to fight the coronavirus because dati pa lang, nabakunaan ka na, nakilala niya na si coronavirus. Kaya niya nang patayin ngayon si coronavirus nung inintrodusan ka pa ng bakuna dati na mahinang version niya. That's the reason why for people who are not vaccinated, once a coronavirus, the strong version, will enter into the body, your immune system is not, hindi niya kilala yung coronavirus na yon. So first time pa lang niyang makikilala si coronavirus during that time, pero natamaan ka na ng malakas na version niya. Ang question doon, mabubuhay ka pa ba? Yun lang naman yung part doon. Though, yes, I'm an advocate of people who are trying, I'm an advocate for people na dapat magpabakuna kayo. Pero I will not hold against you if hindi mo naman gustong magpabakuna in that case. Alright? So, yun. So, you have your RNA, you have your nucleotide. Ganito yung itsura nila, basahin nyo na lang. Tapos, we have your protein. Common ito sa atin, no? Kumakain tayo ng kanito. Masarap kasi ito. We have your beef, you have your pork, you have your chicken, and your fish. Alright? So, protein, no? Ito yung nagbibigay sa atin ng muscle. Ito yung nagbibigay sa atin ng structure ng body natin. Our skin is made up of protein. Our muscles are made up of protein. Our bones are made up of proteins. Ano pa bang merong parts sa atin? Our hairs are made up of proteins. Our blood is made up of protein. Then, we need protein all the time. Alright. However, I'd like to let you see this picture. Nakikita nyo ba tong picture na to? Do you see this picture? Last 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
May version.
Alright.
Yes, sir.
Nakikita nito mga bata ito, especially for countries that are having hard time, yung wala silang food supply, yung ang hirap makahanap ng pagkain sa kanila, especially in Africa. These two conditions are not the same. These two conditions are not the same. Nakakita kayo ng mga bata na nasa bundok na ang lalaki ng tiyan nila pero payat yung mga ibang parts ng body nila. Nakakita na ba kayo ng ganun?
Yes.
Alright? These are common for kids who are living in the mountains. Is because in the mountains kasi usually ang kinakain nila kamote, pising, ganitong mga kwan. Ang kinakain nila halos is carbohydrates. Anong kulang sa kanila? Anong kulang sa mga bata
Protein.
ito? Kulang sila ng protein. And in this case, no, itong batang ito, kumakain ito. Pero yun na nga, puro naman high carb diet lang. Rice, kamote, basta lahat lang carbohydrates. Wala nga silang source ng karne. Wala silang source ng ibang proteins. Kaya nangyayari, payat sila dito sa mga ibang parts nila, pero naman parang lumunok ng bola yung tiyan nila. No?
Unbalanced.
Unbalanced. In this other side, this is a different condition. This is what you call your protein wasting. Protein wasting naman to. Ito talagang taong ito, hindi ito kumakain. Kasi wala kasi silang source ng pagkain nila. Or maybe it has malnutrition. Pero both are actually malnutrition. Ito, kumakain pero high carbohydrate diet. Kaya ganito itsura. Malaki tiyan. Ito naman walang tiyan. Talagang butot balat ito. No? So, wala talaga. Protein wasting ito. Ito yung mga pangalan ng mga kanila. This is kwashiorkor and this is marasmus. So, ito yung mga health conditions na makulang sa protein. Alright, so we have two types of your protein. We have your fibrous and your globular. Pag fibrous, fibers, itsura niya. Pag globular naman, nagiging bilog-bilog sila, no? Or example would be your myoglobin that is found in your blood. So, ganito lang ata. So, ito na yung last natin ng tamang-tama. Alas 12 tayo natapos. Yes, for your biomolecules. So, medyo binilisan ko na konti. But I'll give you a copy of this one na lang later on for you to be able to have something to study on. Right? Questions? Questions? Questions?
None, sir.
None so far? Alright, it's already 12 o'clock. Okay. Alright, so I'll take this opportunity for me to kasi kukunti lang tayo, 34. I wasn't expecting this less. However, I would like to take this opportunity for me to thank you for being able to be here, no, from the first day until the last day. Maybe some of you that I get to meet personally or dadaanan ko sa highway or nadaanan ko diyan, but I hope that siguro this time na gusto ko kayong makilala, baka maka-turn on kayo ng ng mga turn camera ons kayo diyan para at least makita ko kayo kahit sa virtual world lang. I just would like to take this opportunity for me to thank you for being there, being able to join, being able to participate in this class, and I hope that hindi man to yung last subject na pag dadaanan natin, baka later on magkikita pa rin tayo sa ibang natin mga subject. But thank you very much for for always being there. At the same time, I'd like to give some few words of encouragement for you, especially I think most of you are first time college students, and it's quite hard for us to be able to be in this type of klase na nasa pandemic tayo and there's no face to face. But yes, if I get to feel that my students are having hard time, nahihirapan din yung mga teachers, to be honest with you. That's the reason why I'm trying to at least give you a leeway for you to be able to at least have something na medyo nawaya ng konti, no? And yun na nga, no? I hope that despite this really very difficult time that we are discussing this different stuff, no? Sana may natutunan kayo for the last 6 meetings that we had, maybe 6 meetings that we have, and kahit isa lang naman na learn nyo dito sa subject na to, at really be very an achievement for me. Siguro nalaman nyo ng mag-name ng mga organic compounds ngayon, and naging possible yun sa atin dito. So yan, and just to give you some more words of encouragement, no, I know it's really very hard for us, no, ngayon, and it's really very hard for everyone. But if you think that maybe you'd like to quit of the school within the school year is because of having hard time with these situations, I want to give you an encouragement that you may pause for a while, pero never quit. Pero kasi lahat tayo may pangarap, and yung pangarap na yun, no, once na gusto nating lahat na abutin yun, pero alam natin yung daan na papunta sa pangarap na yun at hindi madaling daan. So you may pause for a while, but do not quit, no, do not quit. For there were some few students of mine na nag-PM kasi na, sir, I'm sorry, I will not be able to join or not be able to continue some more already in your class is because I have some few reasons that encounter problems in my family. Meron akong encounter na problema sa family. Pero I was happy because after 1 week, sir, bawiok. Ang klase na lang gaya magpasa activity. So, I encourage you, my students, that someday, I hope that when you reach 3rd year, meron ng face-to-face, magkikita tayo ulit, and someday if you get to reach your yung tugatog ng buhay nyo, sabihin nyo pagkikita tayo ulit, sir, pulis na ako, sir, PO1 na ako, sir, PO3 na ako, Ganun. So, gusto ko 'yun kasi if I get to see that my students are able to become successful in their professions, then I just remember myself na within those years na naging police kayo, meron tayong 3 months na nagkita tayo. 3 months na nagmi-meet tayo online. And that's the reason why I want to see your faces kasi at least, ito pala yung, baka dumaan akong nagmotor sa checkpoint tapos chinikpoint nyo ako, no? Chinikpoint nyo ako pero makikilala.
Malayo.
Baka kayo yung makakakilala sa akin. Ako hindi ko kayo makikilala na kasi hindi ko kayo mamukaan. So, yun na nga, no? Yun, na-checkpoint ako. Chinikpoint niya ako. Hindi niya ako pinadaan. Hindi niya ako pinadaan. Kahit hindi apor, no? Pero ganun. No? So, encourage you students, continue because someday we will say that we will become overcomers of this pandemic that we're having right now. We will become overcomers. You will say that in the future, malalaman niyo ito maistorya natin sa apo natin, sa anak natin, kami yung panahon na natamaan ng pandemic. However, we were be able to survive it. So, what more you students, right, the future students na wala kayong pandemic ngayon, the more na you will be surviving. So, just a words of encouragement, continue, kaya nyo yan, and someday magiging police kayo, and I'll be one of those proud of you. So, without further more, anong oras tayo magka-exam sa Friday? Tama na yung oras. Extendahin ako na. Anong oras?
Same time.
Same time, around 5? Napansin ko kasi pag late in the afternoon yung exam, yung iba medyo excited na bakit at the end of the end of the school year, end of the day pa na medyo excited ng iba. Do kung gusto niyo yun, okay lang. What time garod? What time? 5? Hindi, ganito. Wala kasi ako sa Saturday. Alright? Kasi may pupunta kami ng bagtik doon sa Dalupirip. Tutulungan namin yung nasunog na school doon. Magbibigay kami ng school supplies. But anyway, wala ako na Saturday. So sana matapos yung lahat ng exam by Friday. Pero anong oras sa Friday? Girls, magsalita naman kayo. Puro lalaki pa yung mga guwapo dito nakikita ko. Oh. Magpakita na kayo ng mga...
Sir, 5
Agpakita kayo matkisi Sino na gito yung mga profile pic lang makikita dito.
Sir, same time na lang.
Same time kasi paanong same time? Anong oras? 5?
5
and above. Alright, kung gusto niyo ng 5, ganito gagawin ko 5. Alright? As soon as possible, gusto ko sana sabay-sabay. Pero ang gagawin ko, i-open ko siya ng 5. Bahala na kayo anong oras nyo tapusin yan. Pero syempre 1 hour and 30 minutes lang yun. Meron time pa rin. 1 hour and 30 minutes. The point is that bahala na kayo anong oras nyo i-start. Pero gusto ko sana sabay-sabay kayo. So pag nagbukas ako ng 5, bukasan nyo na ka ng 5. 5 talaga.
4:30 Parang 4:30.
4:30 ti kayatyo. Da kayo.
4:30 ma-post tapos no 5 na mag-start no.
Mabalin. So kasdyan na lang niya. 4:30 i-post tapos 5 i-start. Alright. So okay kayo amin ti 5 o'clock ta. Sabihin ko ng 5 o'clock na. Mabalin. Girls. Alright. So 5 na lang garod. So sa mga working dyan at merong mga special na mga schedules that will be asking from me, then ask it ko na lang. Just PM me for a special schedule. Kasi I don't want to also bother your work, no? At the same time thinking of the exam while working. So mami-miss focus kayo. So yun. So 5 o'clock Friday, tapusin niyo na yung exam para yun na lang yung maiiwan, and by next week siguro ma-release ko na yung final grades niyo. Wala naman sigurong babagsak sa akin. Alright? Wala naman sigurong babagsak sa akin sa
Babagsak sa subject hindi sa'yo.
Ay, yan lang. Mahirap palang mabagsak ka ng tao, no? Alright. Questions for the last time? Kasi gutom na
Sir,
ako.
deadline nga idea ko, assignment 12.1 kan assignment 12.2.
Mabalin Sabado. Nalpas si exam yun Friday, tapos arami din yung after AJ exam. Kat Sabado ipasa yun. Ore Sabado rabii.
Yung camera ay wo.
Mabalin? Alright, sige, Sabado.
Meron. Open yung camera, we.
Tapno Lunes kat agrugi akon nga kwangay. Agrugi akon nga compute grades yo. Hopefully by Friday next week meron kayong final grades na. Oh, di ganun. Amin bakit nakakita ti final grade ako da di midterm grades. Hindi ata eh. So, yun na, no? So, if there are no questions anymore, and once
Open
again,
yung camera. Oo, camera yung kanoy, we.
lalaki man amin tinag-open V man, except lang ni Miss Lamsis. Nila dumakat, nagduldulin. Apa where are you located that you are trying to hide your backgrounds? Uy, naka-classroom ka mat, Miss Tovera. Are you teaching?
Yes, sir.
Teaching what?
Former na.
You're teaching ba?
Alma
Or
mater.
volunteer? Or nagkadua kayo man ni Miss Pis Darita?
True.
Yes, sir. Ano dito eh.
Sabi ko na magkakasama sila eh.
Lahat ata sila lang taga doon.
Kaya alam ko pag activities nila.
Ay, sana.
Pare-pareho.
Ayan yung Miss Tovera ko? Sablan? Ang nakasulat dyan, MTB.
Yes, sir.
Sablan, no? Sabi ko na eh. Baka pupunta ako dyan ng magbike mamaya. Baka lang. Baka lang. But anyway, yun. So, I'm happy to see your faces. Pero to, yung mga babae, 1/4 lang, 1/10 lang ng mukha nilang nilalagay nila sa pictures nila. Sa kanila. Anyway, sige, since medyo gutom na rin, and we see kon. Alright, so thank you very much for joining, and again, I hope to see you in the future subjects. Maybe you'll be enrolling once again to me, or maybe you don't like me anymore. So, yun na. Let's see each other more in your continue nyo lang, graduate, and continue to reach for your dreams. Alright, thank you very much, and happy. Manluluwasan ta